Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Special Ed, IEPs, 504s, Oh My, Conversations with DC SEAC. I'm Aaliyah Mastriani, and today I am joined by two of my friends and fellow board members, Kelly Mayer and Courtney Nangle. Hi, ladies.
Hey.
Hello.
Yay. Today is a fun episode for us. I think May or end of the school year is a good time for reflection and looking over the last year. And we're going to look a little bit at ourselves, at this new medium of our podcast this year, and what we've learned and what we're excited about for next year, and how we'd love for you guys to be a part of that. So, ladies, when we look back on this year, and we started our podcast, I believe, in October, what stands out when you think about this whole process?
It still blows my mind that this was just a wild idea, like a little baby dream that we thought about. And we're like, wow, wouldn't it be cool to just have like these fun, easy conversations about what we're dealing with and IEPs and all the crazy things that we deal with. And now I'm like looking at us like we did this. Not only did we do this, we had some amazing episodes.
I agree. I think this was an amazing idea, and I think the impact we can have on the community is so much broader. When we would have events, as many of us run into, it's just so hard to get to the events in person. But to be able to have this where people can listen to us whenever they have time, I think is so much more impactful, and I'm so glad we've done it.
I think back, Kelly, to the school board election and us having that like just mom to mom conversation after it and what we liked, what we didn't like, what we gained from it was also impactful. I've had a lot of parents come up to me and be like, thank you. I know this was happening. I couldn't do these events. They would say it or I wouldn't find out about it until it was too late. And for us as parents with kids on varieties of the spectrum to say, hey, these are the important issues. These are the things that as a parent, we should be focusing in on to educate ourselves in. So I'm super proud of that episode in specific.
We don't always know the impact we're having. And I was at the Capitol doing some work, and a parent came up to me and said, you know, I saw this or heard about it on DC SEAC. And so I decided to show up at the Capitol to come for this press conference to talk about some of the cuts to the Medicaid waiver. So we are having a reach that we don't even know how far it's going. So I do think it's really powerful, and I'm glad we're doing it.
I agree so much with what you both said, for sure, about us creating a library of resources that parents can go to and listen to what they want. We know it's hard to make it to meetings. I love that we're able to share information. Something that was important to me was I felt like as we sat in our DC SEAC meetings, we would have conversations with each other and I would learn so much. I learned so much every single day from all of my fellow board members, and I wanted to somehow let our listeners sit in at the table because it feels like an access point, and we're able to bring things up and say, oh, I've experienced that too, or oh my gosh, that's not happening at my school. And I felt like we had the privilege of so much access and connection to each other. And this podcast is a small way to try and bring that access to everybody who can't sit on our board as well. And I'm really excited and proud of what we created. And thank you to Meredith, whose original idea was that we previously had support groups. So for those of you out there that have attended them, or we still have our AN support group. So if you're in the affective needs, we still run that one. But this year we didn't run our mild mod or our SSN support group, and instead tried to gather this information here. So it's a great place for us to be able to bring that information to everybody.
And I look back to last year going through one of the hardest seasons of my life and feeling, what do I do? How do I do this? How do I navigate this? And I had all of you at the table to have these conversations. And now I look at this year and Meredith and I doing a 3-part episode of the raw reality of what it was and to actually speak about it, which has been weighing really heavy on me. Like when I go through things, I'm like, why? God, why, what are you trying to teach me in this moment? What do I need to be quiet for a second and actually use my 2 ears instead of my one mouth and listen to get from this, and then to be able to have that conversation the way that I wanted it to have and not that little picture perfect Pinterest, Instagram moment, to be able to talk about, hey, this medication didn't work, this didn't work, we did this, we tried this, we've done this. And I feel like that is something that should be talked about more. And I love that we don't shy away from topics that are not, the cookie cutter ones. We do try to branch out and talk about the real things that we are going through.
What I love about this whole format is that this will go on past you, right? So that whole 3-part episode that you worked on will continue. And so 5 years from now, when somebody is in a really rough space, it's still there. They can access it. They can get that information. That's what's so powerful about this versus an in-person meeting, which I love, but that's a one-time thing. This stays on past us.
And for someone going through that topic specifically, sometimes you don't want to say anything about it. You don't want the judgment. You don't know who your safe zone is. So to have something that you can listen to and relate to and cry with and laugh with means a lot. And being at the gym and having a mom come up to me crying, being like, I just heard the episode, and I'm not going to cry right now because this is not a crying episode, but it just shows what a great impact this has had.
I like that. And we're sort of capturing and encapsulating vulnerability, which is amazing. And for our community, for our neurodiverse community, sometimes getting together in person, talking and sharing feels really difficult or raw. And it allows us to bring people into our community without them having to come to a meeting with us. And when I think about my neurodiverse daughters, that's how they'd want it. They wouldn't want to be there in the room with us. So I think that across the board, we're really excited about what we've created. So yay, we've glazed ourselves for a little bit. We want to just take a second to say thank you. This podcast has been so much work for us. So thank you to all of our board members, but also there have been so many staff members in DCSD who have been giving of their time and really supported our project. One of my most proud moments was when we went to a presentation and one of the coordinators had linked our podcast in their resources on the presentation they were giving to parents. And I was like, yay, I felt so supported from them. And so we just want to send our thank you out to them and to our listeners. Thank you.
And I think that we want to thank you, Aaliyah and Meredith, for all the work you've put in, because we know editing this takes hours. I don't know if people understand. Taping it's one thing, but editing it is such a heavy lift. So we are grateful to you and to Meredith for taking that on.
And when Kelly says hours, we're not talking about like 1 or 2 hours. We're talking like some episodes have taken 8 or 10. Right. So it is a lot of time, and super grateful for you.
Thank you, guys. It has been a lot of work. It has been a labor of love for sure, as we went from people who knew nothing. So I did a lot of YouTubing. How do you do this? How do you do that? But we really wanted to create it, and I'm really proud of us. And to be trite, we can do hard things. But this is a good moment to talk about as we reflect and look at our lives about next year, as we've evaluated how the podcast is going and what it's doing. And we have made the decision to move to every other week as far as producing our episodes or pushing them out to you guys for a billion reasons that I'm sure you all understand. But we have jobs, we have children with special needs. It takes a lot. It's a big lift. It's a lot to get interviews with people from the district. And so as we've looked at our own sustainability, we're trying to take our own medicine and say, hey, we need to not be everything every single minute. So we're excited to keep this going and not burn out board members and keep bringing you amazing content, but not push ourselves for some level of weekly podcast.
And I try not to repeat myself all the time, but I keep going back to that phrase, you don't pour from an empty cup. You pour from your overflow.
And I feel like when we first started the podcast, I was really conscious about wanting to create that library that, we did an episode on, let's say, dysgraphia. And it was awesome and amazing for the families that struggled with dysgraphia. But I also didn't want to recommend the podcast for the whole world when we had 2 episodes that might not apply to people. Really pushing it this first year, I think, has helped us create a pretty significant library of very common questions that can apply to a lot of people. So I feel very comfortable now moving to that every other week, where we've got a good library that if someone really wanted to know about autism or really wondered what happens when there's behaviors or things like that, that there is a place for them to go. So along those same lines, we did want to say that we are not going to be producing any episodes over summer break. We're going to be prepping them, I promise, and writing scripts and setting up interviews and doing things like that. But we are not going to produce these episodes.
And we are parents, as we talked about. We are living the same things and the same topics we are talking about. And so we are going to enjoy or be made crazy by our families. And so I think that's totally okay.
Exactly.
I'm dealing with a child having their first job this summer, and then another one, emotionally regulating him so he can get ready for the year to come. and then another one in ESY.
I have a child going to college, my very
Oh my
first. So we are going to focus on our families and survive our summer, just like you guys. And we will be excited when we get back to August and jump into another year of conversations. So keep your ears and eyes open as we move into our second year of the podcast. We're really excited to try and engage our listeners. So we will continue to reach out and ask for questions and comments or topic ideas as we've sort of put the training wheels on this first year and figured things out. It's been really wonderful, but I know that for next year, we're really excited to engage with you guys, to hear back from you. What is it that you need? What are your questions, ideas? So we will create forms that you could put that on. I'm also going to use a program like SoundPipe or whatnot where you guys can record questions that we could play. You can be anonymous and we could directly answer so that we can have questions from our community and try and create topics that are rich but also fully represent what you guys are going through.
I mean, one of my favorite parts is this year, Kelly and I can think of at least 3 different events we were at, and parents came up to us like, hey, I really don't want to record my voice or write something down in case it gets back to me, but can you guys talk about this? And then us putting it in and then seeing them out in the wild again, being like, all right, thank you. So please keep sending those ideas, even if it's on our Facebook, our Instagram, if you want to do it through email. Hey, we can do it as anonymous as you want, or hey, maybe we can do coffee and you come and talk about it with us.
One of the joys of being on our board is that we get to talk to a lot of people because we're talky. We do it. I do want you guys to know that everything that you tell us, we bring back to our meetings, we talk about, we process, and we try to find a way to create topics around it. I know so many of our podcast topics or topics that we discuss with the district have come right out of my AN support group, and it's a great way to let your questions make it up to the top, but it also is really helpful for us to know what is going on. So if you see us in the wild, chat us up. Also, we're going to have several community events next school year where literally the point is going to be to chat with us. My closing thought is it has let me hang out with our board members who are friends. And so that's been sort of a personal silver lining for me, is just another thing to pull me out of my routine and have me be with my friends and talk about a topic that means a lot to me.
When my 15-year-old was asking what I was so happy about with this, it's the fact that this humanizes us a little bit. I know sometimes in our world especially, it's hard to see the person. You're getting all these words and acronyms that you're trying to balance on top of multiple kids. So to have the moment to, hey, we're just like you. Maybe not the same things, but we're still human. We put on our pants the same way. We deal with things maybe differently, but we all have emotions. So that's been a nice takeaway this year.
Well, and I just love that we are getting information out there, because sometimes as a parent, you don't know what you don't know. And I think when you hear something and you think, I didn't even really think about what's the next stage for my child. So I think this can be incredibly powerful. And I do hope that the community participates and sends us topics that maybe we haven't thought of yet, but that I think would be amazing. And again, if you're thinking of it or you're having a problem, chances are there's another 100 parents that are having the exact same problem. They don't know where to ask. They don't know where to get the information.
100%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to you. We're very thankful to have been able to pop in on your earbuds or your car radio as you've listened to this. We want you to know that we see you. We know that you're carrying a lot. We're there with you. We hope that the podcast has helped, even in a small way, to make things feel a little bit more manageable, or to help you understand more of this process, or maybe even feel a little less lonely. As we head into summer, have a great summer. We also know that summer can be hard, so survive summer if you can. I know it's a lot. We thank you for being here with us this year. We're grateful for our community. We'll be back in August with more conversations, more connection, and more support. And as always, the road may be hard, but it's way more fun with friends. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.